at the moment. Quick update on how all of that is going down. This right here is a visualization of how the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has dried up since the war in Iran has begun. Now,
Hmm.
to be clear, the U.S. struck Iran alongside of Israel, and an entire sort of war has broken out. Iran retaliated by sending missiles and drones across the entire Middle East region, and also started to block ships from coming through the Strait of Hormuz, which is where about
Oh,
20% of all of the world's energy is moving through. So this visualization is going to show us uh, right here at the end of the visualization where it's kind of stopped to pretty much nothing going through, to where it's going to loop in just a second to show all of the activity that has been flowing through the Strait of Hormuz before all of this went down. Let's see, it's
it's
about
a
to
lot of
loop
cargo.
in just a bit here. Here we go. It'll restart. So that's what it normally looks like. And then it slows down, it slows down, it slows down. And now there's an actual narrative behind some of this as well that I actually just posted a video about on my channel today. Um, and it has to do with the fact that what's really going on here is not just Iran actually having the manpower to, for instance, shoot all of these ships down and cause a complete chaos in the strait, but instead, a big part of the story here is that there's an organization called Lloyd's of London, and they are one of the largest insurers of maritime shipping. And what happened is Lloyd's of London, all of the different people, the insurers that would normally insure these boats have pulled out. They said, look,
Hmm.
this is too dangerous. We cannot measure the risks and the probabilities of what's happening because, yes, Iran can't shoot every single boat, but any one boat, right, that does get shot down is something that we are having to pay out for, right? So in that case, we just need to pull it and we're not going to even participate in this. And so
Wow.
that has pretty much been the real reason, potentially, why there's been a halt in what's been happening here. And so this has actually prompted a response from the United States of America over the past couple of days. So uh, Trump basically said that he would insure ships that are coming through the entire Persian Gulf, and not only insure them, but he would also have have the U.S. Navy guide them through and protect ships as they go through. Now, obviously, at the scale that we were just looking at, that wouldn't be possible, right? There's no way you could have enough naval carriers to protect every single one of these ships that are coming through. So the real question here is going to be, okay, well, who's going to get access to this insurance and who's going to get access to this protection from the Navy? And this brings us to another quick statement that I wanted to get from. We've got our favorites here, and they're not our favorites. I just want to. It's a popular news outlet. Hold on, here we go.
No one's more nervous than China. Half their oil imports pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And as of today, the U.S. Navy controls that strait. We already control the Malacca Strait in Southeast Asia, the Strait of Gibraltar, the Suez Canal, and the Panama Canal. The U.S. controls all global shipping choke points. A full naval blockade of China is now possible. Their economy's at our mercy if things ever got saucy. So we're killing two birds with one stone. We stop the number one state sponsor of terror, and we checkmate the Chinese. And on top of that, if this mission's successful, we'll control nearly all of the world. No one's more nervous than China.
So um, that was his breakdown of the situation there. It's getting interesting. So once again, Strait of Hormuz has pretty much come to a little bit of a standstill. Ships are literally just sitting there, nowhere to go. Qatar, they basically did a force majeure. Majeure. I don't really know exactly how to pronounce that or what it fully means, but essentially they've stopped producing some of their oil out of Qatar because they have nowhere to put it. Okay, because now everything's just piling up.
Hmm.
If you're enjoying this was actually taken out of a piece of our live stream where we go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. If you want to see the full version of this episode, you can click the link in the description down below. But for now, back to the clip. And Trump is going to, try to use the Navy and this developmental finance corporation in the United States to finance the insurance as well as guide ships through, depending upon who. Right, we'll see exactly how that works. One of the things that I've also seen coming out, yeah, very good point, Matthew. We definitely are only getting right one side of the story of what's happening here. Um, this right here was something that I saw come out last night. I don't know exactly uh, how true this is at the moment, but the concept here is that China has suspended diesel and gasoline exports after Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz. Now, obviously, this is about the fact that China is, if this is really happening right now and the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed for a while, China needs to keep as much of its oil in its country as possible, right? So it's not exporting, right, is not only going to be beneficial to them, but it's going to be hurtful to someone else who needs oil somewhere else. So this whole house of cards here is about to get crazy. I saw reports that in Asia in general, right, because I think it's like I think it's like 80% of the oil that's coming out of the Strait of Hormuz is going to Asia. There are countries that are basically only going to have so many days left that they can go without having oil that they're importing from the Strait of Hormuz. So now, listen, I'm not an expert in this per se, but when you look at the numbers, Japan gets 90% of its oil from the Strait of Hormuz. That wouldn't be surprising, right? That it might only be days before this starts to have a massive impact on the rest of the world. So, very, very interesting situation right now. It doesn't look like it. It seems like this is only a war that's happening in the Middle East, but this is very quickly going to start to spill over into the rest of the world. Now, anything you want to say?
No, it's yeah, very potentially serious problem. I'm always very curious, much like Matthew said, to see like we're getting a story fed to us,
Mhm.
right? So that's the whole thing that I always try to keep a pulse on is that it, when it is a story and none of us can see, everyone's going to be telling you the best story that benefits them the most, right? So I think that's a very good point that Matthew made. Where try to source sources from all over the place because with something this high stakes, the need for propaganda is at an all time high.
No doubt, no doubt. Um, quickly, one of the things that we did also see is that jet fuel in Singapore is starting to surge up to highs. Okay, so we're starting to see a little bit of the clapback from some of this. I'm almost done talking about this. We'll move forward in just a second. There's a couple other things that I want to touch on. Iran strikes also have put Dubai's real estate potentially in a little bit of a pause. Okay. Um, there's been a lot of memes about this on Twitter, about the fact that you've got a bunch of influencers that are hanging out in places like Dubai, thinking that, obviously that not expecting rather that anything crazy would ever happen like this. But it is happening, and this is having an impact on their real estate market and probably will for many, many years moving forward. As if anyone didn't know, there was a couple of incidents that have happened in the United Arab Emirates and in Dubai specifically. I think some debris, I think, came down and hit a building in Dubai, and so that has been definitely causing some panic as well as fear in the area. Last thing, another piece of this that has not been covered very much that I just saw is that water is actually one of the biggest things that could also be a problem for the Middle East throughout all of this.
Oh yeah,
So I had never heard this. I didn't really know this,
yeah.
but
They don't have water, man.
they have no water. So all of the water in the Middle East is essentially coming from desalination plants, which means they're taking water from the sea, taking the
Mhm.
salt out of it, and then that is the water that they're using. And well, that's going to be a very centralized process where there's only a few different places that this is being done at. And what people are speculating on here is that Iran might start to target these desalination plants. And if they did that, there wouldn't really be any water throughout all of this entire region if they did it in a certain kind of way. So that to me, I mean, these are deserts, right? So it's there's no natural water around.
Mhm.
Um, I thought to myself, I was like, that would be a really big problem because, like, how do you even fix that once it happens? You know what I'm saying? Like, how long would it take?
Humans need water. Like, they really need water. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting thing to follow. I do, from a market standpoint, like the people stuff is way more important than any of the market stuff. But from a market standpoint, I think all of this will push people to crypto because if any of these choke points lead to a civilization collapsing, their currency becomes worthless, right? So I think out of that fear, I think a lot of people will try to find some sort of safe haven assets on a global scale. What else does that?
Hey, you made it to the end of the clip. That means you're probably enjoying this. And if so, just know that you can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to see the full version of this episode, you can click the link in the description down below. Otherwise, YouTube thinks that you will enjoy this next.